Hey, what's going on, crypto people? It is the Crypto Siege with another day in the life and the crazy life that is the digital asset space. Good morning. Happy Saturday to you. Yeah, this is going to be a really quick video. Putting to end this right around 10 minutes for sure. I'm going to talk a little bit about the fact that the gold, there's some hints again about the dollar being backed by gold. An interesting point as well. We talked on the channel several times about my guy who had told me, U.S. Treasury notes backed by gold and other U.S. assets had been in the works. And so we'll see. We'll see if it comes to fruition. This is an article from the Epic Times that discusses that very thing. So we shall see, you know, I know when Melo was like, hey, crypto siege, what's going on, bro? You said this, and it hasn't happened yet, right? So we shall see, we shall see if this does actually come to fruition. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to also share an article. Shout out to Alex G, who sent me some information that I think could be hugely important, just in terms of the fact that XRP is being mentioned and Ripple and XRP being mentioned by the G30, if you will. So I think that's important. I'm going to go over that in just a bit. I'm sure it's something that's been covered before, but I think it's really important to pay attention to the fact that Ripple and its technology is constantly being mentioned. We say on this channel all the time, how is it that this US of A company, the good old US of A company with this amazing fintech software and all the great things that it's doing in a major area where all the major entities, the G30, G20, G7, WEF, IMF, UN, all agree is a significant and a very important space to get some things done. In other words, it's the #1 priority, if you will, besides obviously stemming this kind of any liquidity crisis, but that is cross-border payments. Every single entity, WEF, IMF, UN, G7, 20, and 30, you pick them, they say cross-border payments is a challenge. We need to make it better. All of them say that. They're all in agreement. So, all right, guys, listen, this is your XRP Ripple daily news in around 0 to 10 minutes. So shout out to the Black Goat who shared this with the community. Now, so Alex G is the guy who sent me this as well. Alex G is a big time fam member and always is adding value. He's mod on the channel as well, always continue to share and take care of all of us on this channel. So I appreciate you, brother, big time. All right, so listen, guys. So if you want to follow the Black Goat, it's at OBE1 XRP. B as in Bravo, E as in Echo, 1, the number 1 XRP on Twitter. He shared this new dollar backed by gold coming this October? ? And he refers to this article from the Epic Times. We're going to go over that. Okay, let me go over this right here. So let me go to the Epic Times and share this with you. This is quite the lengthy read, but I think it's important to kind of pay attention, right, to keep the XRP radar antennas up so that we can be 2 and 3 steps ahead of the game. So new dollar backed by gold coming this October ? And so it says here, capitalism has a new way of resetting itself. Okay, so when I see this sponsored content, that is obviously someone from the gold space is sharing this information. Okay, so capitalism has a natural way of resetting itself. Markets reward winners while punishing losers. Losing businesses restructure, finding a better angle to compete, or else they go bankrupt. The business owner, hopefully wise enough not to fall into complete ruin, starts over and re-enters the market wiser and more competitive than before. At least that's the idea, and most of the time that is the case, right? So if an entire economy gets mismanaged, then the same austere consequences that may befall a single company also befall an economy. Yeah, not so sure about that, right? So that is unless a governing body intervenes. Well, there you go. Maybe I should just keep reading. That is unless a governing body intervenes, deviating from the natural course of capitalism proper. Indeed, that has been the history, unfortunately. So this latter route is what the Federal Reserve has done for decades and continues to do to this day. by bailing out the nation's bad economic actors and forestalling the resetting process, the Fed is consigning the future of the United States to a weakened state. By putting the nation into massive debt, the future growth of a natural economy is being choked to death, forever reliant on central bank stimulus. There will be a breaking point, but it may be far from what most anticipate. And in my humble opinion, guys, I just want to say this right now, the DeFi space within the digital asset space is going to be a game changer. Financial institutions and the like will pivot, will adjust. They see the money grab. They see the money grab, and they will be participating heavily. My question is, are they going to be able to compete? Because they're not used to giving up yield. They're not used to giving up, doing staking. They're not used to these type of things. They're not used to having you and I benefit from a platform versus taking. I mean, there's, the Celsius network is fee free. I don't know about traditional finance and them being able to do that. We shall soon find out. So amid the COVID-19 crisis, central banks across the world have been working to put out the economic flames to which we, as of yet, see no end. Interest rates have already been driven to near zero. Stay with me, guys. We're going to get to this current administration and what they're looking to do as well. Some are at record at negative rates, with central banks pledging to continue asset purchases in the trillions of dollars. Now, what do we say in this channel? What do we say in this channel? That it feels as though we, as an economy, are moving from a debt-based economy to a asset-based economy. That's what it feels like. BK and Cryptopolis talked about that on one of the Friday streams, right? Think about this. With central banks pledging to continue asset purchases in the trillions of dollars. With most central banks virtually out of ammo to counter the deflationary trend in the equities market, the only viable solution is to unsurprisingly extend quantitative easing, with the negative consequences affecting almost every major economy across the globe. The United States is in a particularly precarious situation. And it comes down to what might happen this October when the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, meets between October 12th and October 18th to revalue its special drawing rights. The world's reserve currency waiting in the wings. Essentially, a new Bretton Woods is in the making. Wow. So, it says here, the title of this next paragraph is a new Bretton Woods minus the dollar? Is that even plausible? It feels unimaginable, but let's read here. The IMF's SDR is a form of world money created in 1969 as an alternative to the US dollar. In case the dollar somehow fails, at least that was the idea. They were issued on several occasions from 1970 to 1980, but then there were no issues for almost 30 years until August of 2019. Yep, we all remember that, which was when the response to the last financial crisis. Well, here we go again. The IMF knows that SDRs are unpopular, but they also know the world is desperate for liquidity right now during the beer cold pandemic. To exploit this crisis, the elites are thinking big about a new Bretton Woods style conference, a new international financial system, and a global tax system. But how about that? SDRs would eventually replace the US dollar as the global reserve currency. A little battle going on. Bitcoin Ben talks about the battle between elites and the current administration all the time. Talks about it all the time, right? So according to a recent Project Syndicate report, both the IMF and the World Bank are being asked to throw away their rule books to save the world's, in peril developing economy. The problem with the current financial system hammered out in 1944 at Bretton Woods is that it was built for a different world, without question, aimed at preventing wars, think World War II, and regulating economic function on a global scale. Clearly, it was a world of industrial production, manufacturing, trade, and most importantly, clear borders where physical goods, cash, and commodities were traded. Today's digital world, guys, today's digital world hardly recognizes yesterday's economic needs and reality. A new technological and governance structure is necessary to upgrade a defunct system. So goes the argument. And it's a plausible, very reasonable, and it makes very much sense. Today's digital world hardly recognizes yesterday's economic needs and reality. So a new technological and governance structure is necessary to upgrade a defunct system. So goes the argument. If you read between the lines, the prospect looks less like a rebalance and more like a fiscal reckoning on a global scale. When it comes to the IMF and World Bank, voting rights are based on the size of each shareholder. The G20 nations make up the key players, the largest being in the United States with 16.5% voting power, and conversely, veto power. You get on? Although the Trump administration has generally been cooperative with the IMF, over the course of President Donald Trump's tenure, things took a turn in recent months. President Trump's move to halt funding for the World Health Organization, the WHO, took the world by surprise. Secondly, the U.S. Treasury Department made it clear that according to news sites Foreign Policy, it wasn't going along with the SDR bandwagon. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin viewing SDR expansion as ill-targeted. Because SDRs are issued on a symmetrical basis in proportion to existing shareholding, 70% would go to G20 members, most of which did not need them. Only 3% would go to those most in need. If members of the G20 want to increase the SDRs available to poorer countries, they can start by lending them some of theirs. States foreign policy. So I'm guessing that is a quote from Mnuchin. So what's the immediate threat in Trump's potential response? Here it is, guys. This is what we've been waiting for. The rumor and bare fears that the IMF may opt to remove the United States from the global SDR basket. Wow. Effectively reducing the United States veto rights from the world stage, SDRs would then be a step closer to replacing the greenback as the world's reserve currency. Think about that. Considering the potential damage that the Fed's QE would inflict on the dollar, weakening its status as the world's currency. The potential IMF move toward replacing greenbacks with SDRs will cause a massive devaluation of the dollar, possibly up to 80%. As much as President Trump has been influencing Fed actions, despite the bank's statements to the contrary, having pressured their 180-degree turn from raising to cutting rates amid a balance sheet reduction, President Trump has never been a fan of the Fed. With the Fed pledging to load up its balance sheet and with the nation's debt skyrocketing to heights unprecedented, it seems as if the banks and nations will be heading toward a state of insolvency. But this is where the thing gets interesting. With the IMF attempting to pull out a fiscal reckoning minus the US dollar, President Trump may, and in parentheses, as his advisor Judy Shelton has advocated, and as President John F. Kennedy tried to do in 1963, pull off a global reckoning of his own by issuing US Treasury notes backed by gold. The new dollars will be pegged by gold, possibly at a modest starting point of $10,000 or even higher, effectively returning to the gold standard. Again, this is what my dude had said. It was going to be called the USN or the USTN, that it would be backed by gold and other United States assets. So following a massive plunge in dollar values, we'd see a surge in gold prices, and with the new dollars, a surge in gold-backed dollar values as well. I think you all see what the dangers and, more importantly, the opportunities are as we approach the October deadline, okay? And then this is where the sponsored stuff again because this guy is talking about his or her site to get some gold. All right, so a good piece of evidence that we are on this path is the president's Good Friday prayer for our nation to have his portion of silver and gold. Well, how about that? How about that? I did not know of such a thing. So there it is, guys. That's the article. I think it's a great read. I'm going to do another video about how do you take advantage and leverage the DeFi space going forward? What is it going to look like for the traditional space and them merging? How do we, again, take advantage of it being early adopters in this digital asset space? I think it's hugely important, and we certainly can do that. You just got to understand that it's available and position ourselves, right? I was listening to Ivan on Tech last night. He said he is all in and nothing about, and he is only about earning passive income in the digital asset space. Acquiring more assets, cool. You certainly want to have some. Share with me your passive income strategy. So we'll talk that as well. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap up this video like I do all of my videos and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather us remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for dollars. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, where we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. The digital asset space is our chance to win. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating? Or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know, that the battle for you has already been fought, and the victory is yours. Go get it. I'll talk to you soon, guys. See ya. Bye.